There's a detail about this story that almost never makes the headline. It's not the corruption or the investigation. It's not even the outcome. It's the fact that 2 days after he handed over the evidence, his access card stopped working. No suspension letter, no formal charge, just a locked door and a quiet message. You're no longer welcome here. This man had done exactly what the law had told him to do. He documented abuse. He reported it through official channels. He believed the system would protect him. Instead, he was removed from his job, isolated from his colleagues, and eventually placed under witness protection because the state could no longer guarantee his safety. His name is Andries Jacobs. And his story forces us to ask a deeply uncomfortable question. What really happens after someone blows the whistle? Today we're asking what comes next after blowing the whistle, because in South Africa, the act of whistleblowing is often treated as the end of the story, but in reality, it's only the beginning. Whistleblowing in South Africa didn't begin after democracy. During apartheid itself, people who exposed abuses were surveilled, threatened, isolated, sometimes even forced into exile. After 1994, we promised ourselves that things would be different. We passed the Protection Disclosure Act. We said, if you speak up, the law will shield you. But over 5 decades of stories tells us a more complicated truth. From prosecutors and traffic officers to nurses, municipal officials, and accountants, the pattern repeats. Speak up, face retaliation, stand alone. On paper, South Africa looks like a country that takes whistleblowing seriously. We have the Protected Disclosure Act. We have reporting channels. We have ethics lines, ombuds, and investigation units. The promise is simple. If you report wrongdoing in good faith, you will be protected from retaliation. But laws don't protect people on their own. It's people who protect people. And this is where the system begins to fracture. Remember Andries Jacobs we spoke about at the opening? Well, Andries wasn't murdered. His case didn't end in bloodshed, which is precisely why it's so important. After exposing police brutality in the late 1990s, the officers involved were eventually convicted. On paper, that looks like success. But Jacobs paid a price that rarely shows up in the records. His career stalled. He was ostracized. He was removed from his work environment. His life became smaller, quieter, and more precarious. This is the most common outcome for most whistleblowers: erasure. Of course, sometimes the retaliation isn't quiet. Sometimes it's deadly. Babita Deokaran was an acting CFO who flagged suspicious COVID-19 procurement contracts. She followed procedures. She documented irregularities. She was preparing further disclosures. And then one morning, after dropping her child at school, she was shot dead outside her home. Her murder shocked the country, but it also revealed something so chilling. Babita didn't die because she broke the rules. She died because she actually followed them. When you step back, a pattern becomes impossible to ignore. From apartheid-era whistleblowers like Adam Klein to post-democracy cases like Tatolo Setlai to state capture informants who fled the country after the Gupta leaks, the message has remained disturbingly consistent. Speaking up may be the right thing to do, but it is hardly ever safe. And the danger doesn't only come from criminals, it comes from isolation, from stalled investigations, from institutions that quietly step back instead of stepping in. Part of the problem is also structural. The law focuses heavily on workplace retaliation, demotion, dismissal, harassment, but it struggles to deal with physical safety, long-term psychological harm, financial ruin, social isolation, and crucially, there is no single well-resourced institution whose sole job is to protect whistleblowers after disclosure. So what happens is that people fall through the cracks. We often praise whistleblowers as heroes, but admiration without protection is hollow. Because the real question isn't why didn't more people speak up? It's why do we keep asking individuals to risk everything while systems risk almost nothing? Whistleblowers don't just expose corruption, they expose the strength or the weakness of a democracy. Every time someone is punished for telling the truth, others are watching and they learn a lesson, not about ethics, but rather about survival. So the next time a scandal breaks and we ask why nobody spoke up sooner, we might need to ask a harder question. What happened to the last person who did?